The BRRRR strategy in real estate is secretly making millionaires and billionaires, and I'll show you how. We're gonna start with an example of a house. So what is BRRRR? BRRRR stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. At the end of the video, we're gonna show you a live example of one of the properties we worked on. For now, we're gonna dive in what each stands for and what the process is. First, we'll dive into the 5 steps of BRRRR. Step 1, buy. You wanna buy the shittiest house on the block. When I say shitty, I mean like you wanna buy a house that needs the most work, but still make sure it has a good floor plan, it has a good rental market, because you're gonna be renting and holding this house for long term, and also make sure it has parking. Now, when you're buying these type of properties, you can go to the traditional lending, but there'll be more amount of money down. So it's not gonna be the traditional 20% down. You're gonna be looking at higher than that. But most of the time, there's private lenders who lend on these properties. And with private lenders, you can even get financing as low as $10,000 down. The interest rate will be higher, but if the numbers make sense, it's worth it. Step 2, renovate. Like we mentioned in step 1, that you have to run your numbers, you have to know what your budget is, and you have to stick to your budget. You don't want to do the fanciest upgrades because it is a rental property. So you want to be in simple upgrades, cost-efficient ones. And now, when you're running your numbers when it comes to renovating, you want to call a couple contractors and get quotations. But don't rush to go with the first contractor. Get 2-3 quotations, look into their work that they've actually done, and see how the quality of work was done. The main thing is scheduling in this part. So if you notice that a contractor would come on board and they're not experienced, and the schedule is off track, it'll be a nightmare. So make sure that you hire the right person and who work efficiently, professionally, and on schedule. Make sure you have agreement with a clear scope of work, what needs to be done. And the payment structure, don't give half of the payment or all of the payment upfront. Have it into portions, where as they finish each milestone, then you're releasing the payment. We have had experience in the past where we've given X amount of money up front, and then the person goes and does another job to another site and doesn't come back. So you have to keep them engaged by releasing the money in milestones and making sure they're on track. If they're not on track, agreement canceled, another party comes in and starts from there. Step 3, rent. So now the house is nice and modernly finished, nice and shiny. Now you're gonna take pictures and market the property for rent. You wanna make sure that the rent will cover all of the operating expenses and make you extra money in your pocket. It all comes down to where your property is. Step 4, refinance. The most exciting part. This is when you get your equity out. Your down payment plus renovation cost, you get back out. And how do you get it out is that the bank would require appraisal. So we would do appraisal on the property. These are the numbers you'll be running in the first step and how much the property will be worth once it's completed, once it's renovated and rented. And what that valuation is, 80% of that is what the bank will be willing to give back to you, up to 80%. So that 80% should cover your down payment, plus your renovation cost, plus the first mortgage you have on the property. So you should be able to pay all those things out. You have equity back in your hands, and now you can repeat the process again. Step 5, repeat. Now that you have experience with this project, you know how to find the property, you know how to first initially finance the property, you know how to find the right contractors, the right team to do the renovation on the property. You have experience in the rental market, how to rent a property, and then how to do the final refinance on the property. So you know all the stages. Now you have the experience. There's always gonna be mistakes. You're always gonna make mistakes, but you learn from them. And now you apply on your next project, and that's how you get better. Last and final step, you get your deposit back. And if you made a good investment, you probably will get extra money as well. So once you get your investment back, you repeat the cycle. You own a house that's covering its expenses. Now you're going into the second property. You keep repeating the process. You're on your way to millions. The same process done with commercial or bigger buildings with more units leads you to the way to having a portfolio worth billions. And many companies and corporations, people started doing a couple properties, going into a corporation, and then the corporation started buying bigger properties, went on to making billions. So it all comes down to you as an individual, how far you take this strategy. How can you find these properties? You can find it through a realtor on MLS, but do know that when you're on MLS, you have competition. There'll be multiple people looking for the same type of property. You can buy it through wholesaler. Wholesaler are people who make a deal with the seller. They're like assigners, and they resell the property to the investor, and they make their commission in between. And the old school way, which we love to do, is drive around the areas and look for the properties that need work. We leave a note, or we can send them a letter saying we're interested in their property to buy. Because chances of a property just sitting there, not renovated, needs work, and the seller not selling it is very low. Seller will be interested in selling at the right price, and it can work out better for both parties. So there you go. You've seen the whole process from the beginning, the stages of a BRRRR. And now I would just like to tell you that it can be a house starting at 200,000. You can be making a little bit less. It can be a property that's double, triple the price. So this BRRRR strategy is used for all property sizes and all prices. So when I mentioned in the beginning of the video, people and companies are using this to make billions, and I said millions and billions. The billions apply to the corporations and the people that buy bigger properties. And they do this on, like, say example, you've seen a house and the whole process to a house being done. This has 3 units. Imagine the same process on a 20 unit building, on a 100 unit building, 300 unit building, and how the number spread will look, and how you can build equity, tremendous equity, and grow from it. The bigger the property gets, people would think that it would be harder the process would be. It ends up being easier. Besides doing a couple BRRRRs, you can do a couple units in one building and make tremendous amount of equity. So you grow in the BRRRR strategy. And if you have that mindset to grow, there's no limits where you can end up. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below and we'll do our best to get back to you. Also, like and subscribe so we can get you more videos like this, and see you in the next one.